And now, BillyCBoxing.com presents Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down with Billy C. Here he is, Billy C.
Thank you, Jeremy C. And we're coming at you from the Billy C. studio in Lake George, New York. I'm Bill Calogero, and it's time for BillyCBoxing.com's Boxing's Thumbs Up, Thumbs Down for today, July 25th, in the year 2012. Before I get started, just want to remind everybody that we're doing several broadcasts of live events. If you take a minute and visit www.BillyCBoxing.com and click the fight posters, you'll find out all the information. If you see me at any of these live events, all you got to do is come up and say hello. I'll give you a prize. That's it. So check it out. All right. Thumbs up today. We got a couple thumbs up, couple thumbs down. Thumbs up, number one, goes to Golden Boy Promotions. I think we gave them a thumbs up yesterday, but we're giving them a thumbs up today. Why? Because they cut a deal with CBS to showcase the top boxers from this year's Olympic Games making their pro debut. Hey, man, this is great for the sport. It's great for the Olympians that are turning pro. It's great for the network. It's really, I can't see any negatives around this. If you recall, Oscar himself did exactly that, and he did okay for himself. I think this is great for the sport because one of the reasons that most experts believe has been a decline in the popularity of the sport of boxing is due to the fact that it's not available on network television. Now, granted, watching TV has changed a lot over the last 20 years, and maybe network television to most people doesn't have the juice it used to. But make no mistake, if anybody and anyone could turn around and flip on a television set and be able to watch professional boxing, it will help this sport. Just look at what it's done for the three-letter word. It's done very well. So I have to give a huge double thumbs up to Oscar De La Hoya and his team for making this happen. And, of course, to CBS for agreeing to it. I think it's going to be huge, and hopefully our 2012 Olympians will perform at a high level that will expedite themselves being on TV. And I hope the way they defined it was that they said Olympic standouts would be showcased making their pro debut. Well, I hope that CBS and Golden Boy don't leave other country fighters out of that mix, because let's face it, there are several quality fighters competing in this year's Olympics that do not wear the United States banner. And if that were the case and they ended up doing well, we should showcase them as well, because after all, boxing is a worldwide sport. Nonetheless, thumbs up to Golden Boy and CBS. Thumbs up goes to 50 Cent. That's right, man, 50 Cent. First and foremost, when, I just got to say this. I think it's funny that most music stars want to be sports stars, and it's the opposite. Most sports stars want to be music stars. So to me that's kind of funny. And at first, when I heard and I got to give props to one of our listeners, his handle's Given Quality, and he told us about this more than a week ago, and it just hit the press yesterday. And, at first I laughed about this, and I thought, 50 Cent, he's another one of these guys trying to, be a sports star, blah, blah, blah. But the more I think of it, the better I think it could be. 50 Cent has the opportunity to take and get us some crossover fans for the sport of boxing. Get some fans that maybe were not into it or didn't give it a chance or whatever the case is, and have them come over to boxing. Now, the big test for 50 Cent would be for him to keep them there. Now, whether he can promote shows that have an added flavor or something that'll get those fans to stick around, that's yet to be seen. But I hope that he can pull something off. He's been very successful in the business of music, and hopefully he could be equally as successful in the business of boxing. Keep in mind, he's teamed up with Floyd Mayweather Jr., so maybe together they got something up their collective sleeves. So thumbs up to 50 Cent for entering into the boxing business. Now, thumbs down. Thumbs down goes to all the last-minute injuries boxing seems to have produced lately. Over the past 24 hours, we've lost not one, but two high-profile fights due to hand injuries. Jean Pascal reportedly injured his hand and has pulled out of his fight against Tavorius Cloud, which was scheduled for August 11th. And Rafael Marquez pulled out of his fight with Wilfredo Vasquez Jr., which was scheduled for next week, August 4th. Injuries are always going to happen in the sport of boxing. It's part of the business. And, I'm not criticizing anyone for sustaining an injury. Sometimes it makes me wonder about training techniques and what they're doing and when they're doing it, especially before big fights and all of that. But, if some of these guys are calling and claiming that they have an injury and they really don't, and the true reason is because they weren't prepared or they weren't at the point where they wanted to be weight-wise or they're not mentally into it and all of that, that's discouraging because these guys are professionals, and the one thing that they are required to do is act professionally, and being a professional boxer means that you have to be ready, in shape, and trained. If a guy like, for example, Jean Pascal, which has not been able to produce any kind of documentation other than a letter from his doctor saying he's got a severe bruise, not a break, a bruise in his hand. If a guy like Jean Pascal did not feel competitive enough at the point where he was right now and decided, you're better off pulling out now, that's terrible. It's not. I'm not saying he's doing that, but that's terrible to use, lack of condition or lack of readiness. And then use an excuse of an injury. I think it's terrible for the sport of boxing. Injuries are going to happen, but for all the boxers out there that aren't preparing themselves the way they should, thumbs down to you guys. Thumbs down also goes to Sergey Lukaevich. I don't have anything against this guy personally. He's a nice guy. He's a family man. He's just trying to make a living. But he was in the press yesterday calling out Moritz Wach because Michael Grant apparently is backed out of a fight with him. And, now Lukaevich wants to fight everybody. And, anybody out there, I'll fight him. The bottom line is this. He's gotten his chance recently, not once but twice. He's come out on a losing end. Bryant Jennings just beat him on NBC Sports. I think it's time for Lukaevich to pick up his life and start another career. His boxing career is, in my opinion, it's over. Now, whether he thinks that he didn't train hard enough or he wasn't ready or wasn't prepared or whatever the case is, if that's something that he can remedy, fine. But what I saw was a guy that's past his prime in his last fight. I saw a guy that was past his prime and has no business calling anybody out through the media. I think it's just a ploy to get a couple of bucks in his pocket, and that's another negativity that's just another negative spot for the sport of boxing. So thumbs down to Sergey Lukaevich, the White Wolf, former champ. Yeah, he was. But anyway, hey, listen. That's the end of the show. I hope you tune in tomorrow, all right? Ciao, baby.